It's Tuesday, first day of October. Back here in the South Bay, going to be putting in another cash game session in the area. It's currently about 10:45 in the morning, and just going to be stopping off here for a brief little lunch before putting in the grind. But before we get into the poker, it's been a bit of a running theme the last couple of vlogs in terms of sharing some different experiences and recommendations that aren't necessarily poker related. So I hope you all don't mind me injecting some of that into this overall channel. So let's get caught up on some of the happenings over the last week since the last vlog. For starters, I checked out the Norcal night market in Pleasanton. Really cool little venue spot. I want to say that the Norcal night market happens a couple times a year. It was my first time checking it out, and it has a variety of vendors that will travel from different places like Southern California to cook some amazing food. It's a great venue as well for some live music and beverages, of course. And there's a ton of different vendors with little booths as well to sell merchandise. It's very much in some ways, I'd say, Asian themed. That's at least the impression that I got, but super diverse overall either way, and certainly recommend it. And the next happening was that I actually checked out the Chase Center located in the Mission Bay area of San Francisco. It's actually the new home for the Golden State Warriors. I went there for a WWE wrestling event. As some of you may know from previous vlogs, I'm a pretty big wrestling fan, dating back to when I was a young child. So checked it out with a good buddy of mine, experienced the new Chase Center. Super cool spot. So really excited that the Warriors are going to be playing in that new arena. And yeah, just check that place out. They've got a variety of different concerts and events throughout the year. Also checked out another night market. This one was in San Jose, a little bit of a smaller venue, but it was a nice, intimate, outdoorsy type feel with lights, activities for children. Also, the main highlight I want to say was that there was a live band performing that night by the name of Relative Key. They're a local Bay Area band, and they do a variety of different covers, R&B music. So if you're someone who likes that kind of music, likes to dance, things of that nature, certainly recommend that piece of it. The beers were super on point. They've got like this truck with kegs and whatnot, and all the beers were super cold, super tasty. Food is in the form of food trucks, which were pretty okay, I'd say. I think the Bay Area has gotten a bit saturated with food trucks in general, and it's not to say that the food isn't good, but I think some of it is a little bit redundant to a certain degree, but food was pretty good overall. So certainly recommend the San Jose night market if you guys want to change it up and just have a nice little outdoorsy event with some friends, some family. Two more quick little things, both of which are a little bit more personal. Celebrated my brother Steve's birthday in Alameda with the family. Really awesome gathering with the family. We got a fruit tart from Ambrosia, which is a San Francisco-based bakery. They put on some really good baked goods. So I'll put some info in the description as well. Personally, I think it's the best fruit tart in all of San Francisco. So yeah, shout out to my brother again. Happy birthday, Steve. And the second one is that I went to a wedding recently for my college roommate. My buddy Keith got married to a lovely lady by the name of Anna. Went to their wedding, had a really great time, hung out with a really good friend of mine that I've known since preschool named Donald. The wedding banquet took place at a really nice Chinese restaurant called HL Peninsula. It's in South San Francisco. Yeah, really good stuff there. Happy to have celebrated with some really good friends of mine at that event. All right, last but not least, as you can tell, I'm wearing sunglasses again. These are the same pair of sunglasses that I wore on a previous vlog recently, and I had some close family and friends ask me like, dude, what are those sunglasses that you're wearing? You never wear sunglasses. And I'm happy to say that I'm actually wearing some Spades Sunshades. This is put on by a man by the name of Jeff Weber. He's the founder of Spades Sunshades. And yeah, Jeff's a really cool dude. He's a huge supporter of the poker community. And I think these sunglasses are great because they're poker inspired, but they're also really versatile for any and every occasion that you like to wear them for. And Jeff was gracious enough to establish a little partnership with me whereby you can now use a promo code, lock it up, to get free shipping on Spades Sunshades. So I'll put some information in the description box below. All right, so that wraps things up for now. Gonna get some lunch and then put in some time, most likely at Casino M8trix. I thought about going to Bay 101, but for some reason I just can't bring myself to playing cash games there. Maybe it's because I'm just super fond of Casino M8trix. Its predecessor casino was Garden City Casino, which I played there quite a bit during my college years and actually helped pay for my college tuition, living expenses, and things of that nature. So I think I've just got some deeply rooted fondness for Casino M8trix and that whole kind of background there. So probably going to put in a session there. I will change it up at some point and put in a cash game session at Bay 101 just to mix things up. But yeah, grab some lunch now and then off to some cash game action and bring you back some hand recaps from there. All right, just closing out a session here at Casino M8trix. Played for about 5 or 6 hours. I need to head right back to San Francisco right away to play some recreational basketball. So gonna recap the hands in the next day or two. All right, let's run through the hands. Quite a number of these to get through. And these first handful are a little bit less interesting, more straightforward. But as per usual, I like to do the hand recaps in chronological order. And I think that's gonna help tell the full story of how the session went. And so in this first hand, there's an under the gun limp, under the gun 1 limps. I'm in middle position with King Queen of Diamonds, also known as Beauty and the Beast. I raise it to $25 and I get calls from the big blind and under the gun 1. So we go through ace to a flop of Queen 7-6 Rainbow, none of my suit. Checks to me, I see bet $40 and only the under the gun 1 makes the call. Turn comes an 8 of hearts, putting some straight possibilities on the board, as well as bringing in a backdoor heart draw. He checks it, and I decided to check it this time. I think it's a card that's going to hit his range a little bit more often than mine, and I'm not sure I can get all 3 streets of value with my hand anyway, so I check it back. The river comes a King of Clubs, a very good card giving me top 2 pair on this board, and I'm feeling especially confident when he checks it over to me. I'm hoping he has a hand like Ace Queen, maybe even a weaker 2 pair type holding, so I decided to size up for value. I put out around a pot size bet of $150. He doesn't think too long and makes the call. Turn my hand over and it's good. In this next hand, I pick up Ace King offsuit from under the gun and I raise it to $20. I only get a call from the button and we go heads up to a flop of Ace Queen 5, 2 diamonds. I see bet $20, he makes the call. Turn comes a 10 of hearts, a bit of an interesting card. Gives me the gut shot to the nuts, but it also puts up another flush draw on the board. And now I'm losing to hands like 2 pairs and straights. So in an effort to pot control, I just check it. And he puts out a bet of $55. A bit of an interesting bet because I think it's mostly for value, given that I do have the King of Diamonds in my hand. I think it's pretty unlikely that he's got a flush draw. So I just make the call, and the river comes a Jack of Hearts. So backdoor flush completes, but I make Broadway. Not exactly sure what the best play is here, but if he does have a hand like 2 pair, I don't want to just have it go check, check. So I put out a donk bet of $50. He doesn't think too long, makes the call. I table my hand and he tables King Jack offsuit. So he gets there on the turn and I re-get there on the river to chop this pot. Happy to have not bet that turn. Obviously a little bit results oriented in that thinking, but I think in dissecting the hand at the time, I was pretty happy with that pot control check. I think it's a pretty standard check in that spot. And yeah, works out this time to chop the pot. All right, in this next hand, I'm in under the gun 1 with Ace 4 of hearts. I raise it to $20 and only the small blind defends. We go heads up to a flop of 10, 3 deuce, 2 hearts. Good flop for me to continue here. He checks it, I bet $20. He makes the call. Turns a very good card, he comes a 10 of hearts, so I make the nut flush. He checks it and I bet $60 and he makes a quick fold. So I guess you can make the argument for sizing down a little bit there to hopefully get a call, but it's gonna be kind of around that sizing that I'm going with on most of my turn bets in other situations. So I'm happy with it from a perspective of balance. And I was actually really hoping he had a 10 in his hand and I was targeting that exact hand holding. So wrong there, don't get any additional value, but do take this hand down. In this next hand, under the gun raises to $20. I call on the button with sailboats. Everyone else folds. So we go heads up to a flop of 5, 3 deuce Rainbow. Good flop for me, having the open-ended straight draw here. He c-bets $25. I consider putting in a raise here as a semi-bluff, but I think my hand is strong enough to just call and peel here, particularly in position. So that's what I do. And the turn comes a Jack of Diamonds, putting a backdoor flush on the board. He continues for $45 this time. I think I'm happy to just call this time, so that's what I do. and the river comes a jack of hearts. So pretty good card because diamonds brick out and I'm still ahead of hands like ace king, ace queen. And when he checks it, pretty happy about that as well. Happy to just take my showdown value here, so I check it back. And it's technically his turn to show his hand first, but he shows a little bit of hesitancy and kind of gives me the head nod like he doesn't have much. So I turn my hand over and it's good. So take this nice little hand down. In this next hand, we're playing 7-handed. Cutoff opens to $20. This is the same player from the previous hand when I had pocket fours. And I'm in the small blind this time with ace-5 of spades. We're playing about $750 effective here. And this is one of the best players at the table. And so with those factors considered, it's been a while since I put in a 3-bet out of position with this kind of a hand holding. So good time to do it, I think. So I make it $80 and he thinks it through for a little bit and he makes the call. We go heads up to a flop of ace 8-3 monotone, all clubs. I down c-bet $60 and he makes the quick fold. So really happy with that result. I don't think it's always correct to be 3-betting in these spots with these kinds of hands and situations, but when a fitting opportunity presents itself like this one, I think it's good to get after it. In this specific situation, I think it helped to simplify my decision making and strategy. If I were to have taken a passive line in this hand by just calling the pre-flop raise, I think I would have been pretty lost on that flop, and given that board texture, I probably would have just had to let it go if I was facing any type of flop and turn aggression. So happy to have played it in this manner with the 3-bet pre-flop to take this hand down. So everything was going pretty smoothly in these first couple hours of play as evidenced by the hands thus far. I was up around $200 or $300 and that's when this next hand happens. We're playing about $800 effective. I'm in the hijack with pocket aces and I raise it to $20. I get calls from the cutoff and both of the blinds. We go 4 ways to a flop of queen 9-3 all spades. So flop the overpair here with the nut flush redraw. Checks to me. I put a smallish continuation bet here of $30. Not afraid of really any turn card, so I think I'm okay with that sizing. It's a little bit exploitative, but I'm okay with that in this situation. And the big blind makes the call, so we go heads up to a turn to a pretty good one. It comes the ace of diamonds, so I now make top set. Checks to me, and while I block a good chunk of his calling range, I think he can still have some hands that I can get value from. Hands like that have a king of spades in them, maybe a hand like jack 10 with a spade in it, and occasionally hands like pocket 9s, pocket 3s, or even ace queen, in which I'd be coolering him here. So I bet $80 and he puts in a check raise this time to $310. It feels like this is got to be purely for value given that I've got the ace of spades in my hand. And while I'm going to be up against a flush sometimes, I'm really just hoping that he's got ace queen or the other 2 set combos for me to cooler him here. So I just decided to jam $750 effective. And he doesn't think too long, but he begrudgingly makes the call. The river comes a 5 of diamonds. I turn my hand over and he turns over 5-8 of spades. So he did have the flush and he edges me out here. And pretty unfortunate spot, I think. I chalk it up to being a cooler. I just don't know that I can ever really get away on that turn or river run out. So lose the maximum here and get stuck $600 after this hand. In this next hand, UTG limps. I'm in UTG 1 with pocket queens and I raise it to $25. I get calls from middle position, button, and the limper. We go 4 ways to a flop of ace 10-5, 2 hearts. Not the ideal flop here, going multi-way with my hand. So when under the gun checks it, I check it, and action actually checks through. The turn comes an 8 of diamonds, under the gun checks, and this time I kind of want to bet to see where I'm at. So I bet $40 and button jams for $240. Gets back to me and I make the pretty quick fold. I can't imagine him checking hands like flush draws on the flop or an ace on the flop and then going with it on the turn. So it feels like he has a hand exactly like ace 8, maybe pocket 8. So yeah, just get away from this one. In this next hand, there's an early position limp. I'm in the low jack with the computer hand, queen 7 of diamonds. I raise it to $25 and I only get a call from the cutoff. We go heads up to a flop of ace jack 6 rainbow with 1 diamond. I c-bet $25 hoping to just take it down, but unfortunately he makes the call. The turn comes in 8 of diamonds, so I pick up the backdoor flush draw. He's playing about $375 effective here, and I decided to put out a bet of $50 with the intention to jam a lot of rivers if I make my hand, or just overbet jam as a bluff if needed, if the card that comes out on the river makes sense to do that. But he actually puts in a raise to $150. I'm getting about 3-1 on a call here. It's slightly a losing play given my exact equity in the hand, but I'm not in the folding mood, so I make the call, and the river comes a 9 of diamonds. So I make the backdoor flush, and I decide to check it, and he pretty much just jams all in. He bets $200. I put in the rest, I think like 215, and he makes the quick call. I turn my hand over, and he turns over pocket jack. So I cooler him here, take this one hand down. He played his jacks pretty sneakily, and unfortunately for him, I was able to get there on this river and take down a pretty nice pot. All right, this next hand is quite embarrassing to share, but just gonna do it to maintain transparency. I'm in under the gun one with pocket sevens, and I raise it to $20. I get 4 callers. I believe it's middle position, button, and both of the blinds. 5 ways to a flop of 8-8-6 rainbow. I see bet $30, and only the big blind makes the call. The turn comes a 5 of diamonds, putting a backdoor flush on the board. Big blind leads for $40 this time. Not ready to let it go with some pretty solid equity still, so I make the call, and the river comes a king of spades, and this time he pretty much bombs it for $170. Tough spot here. I think a lot of times it's a fold, but I'm looking at this player kind of up and down to try to pick up any type of read or tell, and I see something that I believe is a sign of weakness. So after thinking it through for a little bit, I settle on the stationy call, and he turns over 5-8 of hearts for the full house. So completely wrong, get destroyed in this hand, and just not doing very well against the 5-8 suited hand in this session. All right, a couple more hands to run through. Middle position raises to $25. I defend in the big blind with Beauty and the Prince suited, and we go heads up to a flop of Queen, Queen 4 with 2 clubs. Smash this flop. I decide to check it, and he checks it back. Turn comes a 10 of diamonds. Don't want to just check it now. I bet $40, and he makes the call. The river comes a 5 of hearts. I bet pretty large for value. I go for $125. And this time he jams me all in for $500. Pretty yucky spot. I mean, I just don't know what I'm beating here at this point. I guess he can have some random club draw that he's just deciding to turn into a bluff here, but most people aren't going to be doing that in a 2-5 game, particularly the line that he took. I would imagine he would have bet flush draws on the flop and just continue barreling, but yeah, I decide to let it go after some deliberation. I do show my queen as I'm folding, and he was kind enough to show me a queen as well. So he claims to have ace queen. I think I gotta believe him here. I can't imagine any other queens there that he'd be doing that. I doubt he has queen 9. It's got to be at least king queen, ace queen, maybe even queen 10. So if he didn't have pocket 10s, and that's the hand I think he should have. So yeah, I get away here, but a little bit frustrating to lose another hand, particularly flopping as well as I did. But yeah, happy, I guess, to have stayed disciplined in this spot. Our last hand to run through, and this was actually the last hand that I played, and it's a pretty fun one. We're playing $700 effective. I'm the effective stack in this hand. There's an under the gun limp. Early position raises to $45. A pretty large open in general, but not for this player. He's been doing these large raise sizes throughout the entire session, and he's actually the same player that had the 5-8 of hearts hand. So that's actually going to come into play a little bit later in this hand. I decide to make the call from the cutoff with 3-4 of spades. It's a pretty loose call, but being in position, I think I get to realize equity a little bit more often, as well as in this particular lineup, I think I can maneuver some certain spots to take hands down without making a hand. So I think it's usually a fold in a tough lineup, but it can be a profitable call in some other lineups. So I make the call, small blind calls, and the limper calls. We go 4 ways to a flop of ace queen 9. Action checks through. The turn comes a 5 of clubs, and it gets to the initial raiser. He puts out a bet of $75. Bit of an interesting spot. I've got the gut shot to the nuts here, and there are also some other draws that I think are pretty scary, and I don't think he has those hands. When he checks the flop, I think he's pretty capped at a hand like ace jack, pocket kings. I think he should be betting like 100% of his range, really, when he shows that type of pre-flop aggression, but because he didn't, I think it's a little bit of a sign of weakness that his hand really isn't that strong. I decide to call, of course, with the hope to make my hand on the river, but I think if some scare cards come, I think I can maybe find a way to take the hand away. A little bit concerned, obviously, that there are 2 players left to act behind me, but the under the gun limper looked pretty disinterested in the hand, Small blind looks somewhat interested, but just gonna take that leap of faith in making the call. And small blind does tank for a little while before letting it go, so that's a good sign. And under the gun folds pretty quickly as expected. The river comes a 10 of diamonds, and this time the player bets $65. Pretty smallish bet relative to the size of the pot. And I think this is where, looking back at some recent history, I get, I think, a bit of a tell here in terms of his bet sizing. Earlier when he had the full house with the 5-8 hand, he bet pretty large on the river, $170. This time he bets really small. And given the line that he's taken so far, having checked the flop and then betting the turn, I feel like he's pretty capped at a hand like Pocket Kings or even Ace Jack. And I honestly don't think he can call if I decide to jam or bet large here. So after thinking it through for a little bit, in assessing my options, I know I have 0 showdown value, no chance to win here. Session's not going great, and can't win with good hands. Let's see if we can take it down with a bluff. I decided to raise it to $350, and after thinking about it for just 2 or 3 seconds, he folds. So take this one down. Happy to have gotten this bluff through. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this session. Was in the game for $1,700, cashed out $927. So booked yet another loss as of late, this time to the tune of nearly $800. I think I was happier overall in terms of how I played relative to the previous vlog session at M8trix. A little bit of positive to take away in that regard. Pretty happy, of course, with the final play of the evening, having gone for that river bluff. If it wasn't successful, I think I still would have been happy to have maintained heart and making the proper play, so as I thought during the time, and happy that it went through. Yeah, that's the positive to take away from this situation, this session, but gonna be back at it and hopefully book a win in the very near future because yeah, it's not fun losing, but just kind of stay the course and try to keep grinding away, and hopefully the wins will come back sooner rather than later. Just one more thing actually. I started this vlog 1 year ago and actually posted my first video on October 9th, 2018. And when this video gets posted, I will have actually crossed the 1 year mark. And with that, I think a couple things are in order. As documented in the last few videos, things are trending in the wrong direction. And I'm wearing this lovely hoodie here to soak in that overall feeling. But what to do when you hit a wall like this? Well, I have an idea for some vlog run good and I'm gonna need your help. And so here's what we're gonna do. All right, so I'd like for you to take a guess on how much my next 4-figure win will be. An example is $1,872. And there are gonna be 3 winners as part of this guessing competition. For the 2 runner-ups, you'll receive a pair of Spades Sunshades and a $30 gift card to Dave & Buster's, which is an adult Chuck E. Cheese's that I venture to pretty often. And again, special thanks to Jeff Weber with Spades Sunshades for donating the sunglasses. And a big thanks to my friends Myra and Shirley for supporting the vlog through the gift cards as well. And the top prize is actually going to be another pair of Spades Sunshades along with a Timbuktu backpack. It's a San Francisco-based company that puts on and creates really quality bags. I actually purchased this bag personally for this specific competition as a small way to thank you all for the support over the last year and make this a pretty fun guessing competition. I'll pin a comment down below with the details, but just to run through it here, again, it's going to be to take a guess on what my next 4-figure win will be. This is going to apply to any poker session played, so not just vlogging sessions. It'll be 1 guess per person, and you're going to submit them via the comments down below. And make sure to pay attention to what everyone else is guessing and submitting, because if there are any duplicate guesses, I'm of course going to be going with the first person that submitted that guess. And just to give you all a few days to submit your guesses, this competition will start and apply to any poker sessions played after Tuesday, October 15th. So make sure to get your guesses in. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the wide array of details in this one. I'll see you all on the next vlog and we'll announce the winners as soon as that happens. And so with that, happy guessing.